She didn't look like a killer. There was no mask, no weapon in her hands, no warning in her eyes. Just a quiet woman, standing alone on the side of a dark highway. Cars passed by her every second. Drivers glanced at her briefly, then looked away. To them, she was invisible. Just another lost soul trying to survive the night. But what they didn't know was that this woman would soon become one of the most feared female serial killers in history. Her name was Aileen Wuornos, and her story is not just about murder. It's about pain, survival, and the terrifying moment when a victim becomes something else entirely. Aileen Wuornos was born on February 29, 1956 in Rochester, Michigan. From the very beginning, her life was broken. Her father was a violent man, later diagnosed with severe mental illness. He abandoned the family before Aileen was even born. Her mother couldn't handle the responsibility, so she left Aileen and her brother behind. They were raised by their grandparents. But this wasn't a loving home. It was a home filled with abuse, violence, and fear. Aileen was beaten, humiliated, neglected. She grew up without protection, without comfort, without hope. She learned one thing very early in life. No one was coming to save her. By the age of just 11 years old, Aileen was already living on the edge of survival. She spent time alone, isolated, angry at the world. By her teenage years, her life spiraled even further out of control. She ran away from home. She lived in abandoned places. She slept in the woods. She traded her body just to survive. She wasn't living, she was surviving. Every single day was a fight to stay alive. Every single night was filled with danger. This wasn't a childhood, it was a nightmare. And nightmares change people. As she grew older, the world only became colder. She had no education, no family support, no stability. She drifted across America, from city to city, state to state, always searching for something she never found: safety, peace, belonging. Instead, she found violence. She found rejection. She found loneliness. And slowly, something inside her began to harden. Her heart became colder. Her mind became darker. Her trust in humanity disappeared completely. By the late 1980s, Aileen was living in Florida. She survived by working as a sex worker along highways. Night after night, she stood alone on dark roads, waiting, watching, hoping the next stranger wouldn't hurt her, because many of them did. She was beaten, threatened, abused over and over again. Fear became her normal reality. Danger became part of her identity. She stopped seeing the world as safe. She stopped seeing people as trustworthy. And eventually, she stopped seeing herself as human. Then came the night that changed everything. December 1989. Aileen met a man named Richard Mallory. He picked her up in his car. At first, everything seemed normal, just another client, just another night. But something happened inside that car, something that would change history forever. Hours later, Richard Mallory was dead. His body was found dumped in a remote area. He had been shot multiple times. There were no witnesses, no suspects, no answers, only silence. And somewhere, Aileen Wuornos was still walking free. After that first murder, something inside her changed forever. The fear that once controlled her was gone. In its place was something else: power, control. For the first time in her life, she wasn't the victim. She was the one in control, and that feeling became addictive. Over the next 12 months, the bodies began to pile up. One victim, then another, then another. 7 men in total. Each one shot, each one left behind, each one becoming part of a growing nightmare. Police were confused. There was no clear suspect, no clear pattern, and no one suspected a woman. Because in their minds, serial killers were men, not women, not someone like Aileen. That assumption allowed her to remain invisible, to continue killing, to continue escaping. But eventually, the truth began to surface. Witnesses described a woman matching her appearance. Evidence connected her to stolen items from victims. Police began to close in. The hunter was becoming the hunted. In January 1991, Aileen Wuornos was finally arrested. At first, she denied everything. She remained calm, silent, but the evidence was overwhelming, and eventually, she confessed. She admitted to killing 7 men. She claimed it was self-defense. She said she was protecting herself, protecting her life, protecting her survival. But the court saw it differently. To them, she wasn't a victim anymore. She was a serial killer. Her trial shocked the entire world. A female serial killer was almost unheard of. The media called her a monster, a predator, the most dangerous female killer in modern history. But behind the headlines was still a broken human being, a person shaped by pain, a person shaped by trauma, a person shaped by survival. She was sentenced to death. Her fate was sealed. She spent years on death row, alone, forgotten, waiting, thinking, remembering, until finally, the day arrived. October 9th, 2002. Aileen Wuornos was executed by lethal injection. Her final moments were calm, silent, peaceful. The woman who once terrified an entire nation was gone. But her story did not end there, because her story was never just about murder. It was about what happens when a human being is pushed beyond their limits, when pain becomes identity, when survival becomes violence, when the victim becomes the killer. Even today, her story remains one of the most disturbing and fascinating true crime cases in history. Because Aileen Wuornos wasn't born a monster, she became one, created by trauma, created by pain, created by a world that abandoned her, and her story leaves behind one haunting question. Was she purely evil? Or was she simply the result of a broken world? Some killers hide in the shadows. Some killers hide behind masks. But Aileen Wuornos hid in plain sight, invisible, forgotten, until it was too late. And somewhere, on a dark, empty highway, her story still lingers, waiting to be remembered, waiting to be understood, waiting to be feared.